Hello everyone, this is Lynn and welcome back to the Rachelle Anne Miller YouTube channel. Today is release day and there are some incredible new digital stamps released by Rachelle Anne Miller, and this adorable Sweet Reindeer is one of them. I just adore this image, it's so cute, I cannot get enough of it, and I'm glad that I'm sharing this card with you today to celebrate the new release. So definitely check out the website if you're curious to all the other designs, but most of all check out Facebook and Instagram because the design team is sharing all of their inspiration over there. They have been doing that the past days and they made some incredible cards with these adorable digital stamps. As this is a digital stamp, I printed it on Translucite Perfect coloring paper. This is the paper that I prefer using when I'm coloring with my Copic markers, or maybe in your case any alcohol markers you have. This paper can handle quite a lot and that's why I really like to use this paper. And so I am personally someone that colors from darkest to lightest, and if I need to I can add more layers until I'm happy with the blend. Most of the time, more layers means for me to have at least 2 layers to be happy with it, but if I need to I can add many more, and this paper can handle quite a lot of markers or a lot of moist from these markers, so don't be afraid to add a layer if you need to. This paper can handle it. If you are at a certain point with your paper that it feels like it's not taking on the markers anymore, or that your marker starts to bleed outside of the lines, then probably your paper is oversaturated. I am not an expert on papers or anything like that, but I feel with this paper it can handle so much that I haven't had any bleeding so far, which is lovely, but depending on how you color that might differentiate. Now, if that's the case with any paper you're using, please let your image dry for a while. Let it sit aside until the paper has calmed down, if we can call it like that, or use your heat gun to speed up the drying process and continue after that. That is a really handy tip that I got somewhere from someone, and it is true. And I don't know which amazing crafter that I watched to know that, because it has been a few years ago, but it has helped me since then. Now for this reindeer, normally in my head the antlers are quite light and then the fur is darker, but I did it in a few weeks back. I did the reverse thingy and I really like that. So for this cutie I decided to do something similar, having the antlers and the dots a bit darker, and then just play with a bit of a lighter brown combination for the body of this adorable reindeer. I wanted it to be a really cute colored in image because the image itself is really cute, but depending on the colors that you use, it can differ the end result. So I think it sort of worked out. I kept it really soft, and I also decided to do really soft coloring on the bunnies to help with the cute vibe of this image. So also something that I want to say, if you're watching this and you're now thinking, yeah, but this is rubbish, the first layer. Yeah, indeed. I don't like it either, but I know that with 2 layers I get way further than what you see right now. So everything will be fine and it will be all okay once I added another layer. Something else that can help with the blend is doing a bit of flicking. You can see me doing it here, and I also did it with the darkest color. It helps sometimes to do that, and then it goes easier to get that blend that you want. Also, if you have some markers that aren't easy to blend, then try a bit of flicking or a tip-to-tip method if you need to. But here it was just enough by doing a bit of flicking. And as you can see, I have way more of the darker color right now on my second layer than on my first. I think it's easier to go soft in the beginning, and if you can add more later on, but it's really hard to get rid of more that you don't want. So really soft, and whenever I need to have more than 2 layers, I'm just adding it. No problem at all. and I just love this combination. By the way, if you're curious about the markers that I used here, every time I'm creating a video for Rachelle Anne Miller, I am listing the markers that I use down below in the description box. I think that's the most important thing for you guys when you're watching these videos. It might be helpful if you want to use a similar color combination or the same one to know which markers I had and not have to go back on the video necessarily for that. So that's why I'm sharing it there. If you're curious to see the other things that I used, then definitely check out the blog post that is also listed in the description box, and that can always help you as well. So here I'm doing exactly the same as I did on the body of the reindeer. I'm doing a bit of flicking, and I'm using the same markers going from darkest to lightest, and now onto my second layer. And if you look at it like that, I think this is a really simple way of coloring, but it works, so why not? So I'm making sure to blend out every time, and then I can move on to another part of the image. For the little face here, I'm using the same as for the chest and for the tail. So really soft combination, which is also part of the darker combo that I had. I'm just not using all of the dark markers, and I'm using lighter markers as well. I personally find it a handy way to just extend your combination that you have with a few lighter markers, and this way you always know that it will work because it's just an extension that you otherwise would have used on a larger image with the other markers that you already added. Whenever I go outside the lines, I'm just using a colorless blender, as you saw me doing here, to fix those tiny mistakes. You don't need to, but I prefer to. And then I'm going to add some color to these bunnies. I'm adding the same color on both of them. I don't know why. I think it's also part of keeping it simple, which I really like. And so I did that. And I'm actually doing the shadowing, as you can see here, depending on where they are facing towards. So they are facing towards the lighter area each time. So in this case, you can sort of imagine a light source that is centered, and that way every back of every image is with the shadow. I also added a few dots to the tails of the bunnies. I'm not going to color it completely, keeping it fluffy and cute by just adding a few dotting details. And then I'm doing a second layer on their fur to finish it completely. Really, really simple coloring. So once I'm happy with coloring, it's time to figure out how to create a card from this one, and therefore I decided to use the Sweet Feline from On My Elephant, which is an amazing die set that I really like using for particularly this panel that I can cut out with the gorgeous stitching details and the scalloped edge. I love it. But before die cutting, I decided to add a bit of some grounding. To have it completely straight, I checked with my T-square ruler a bit, and then I could just flick towards the outside of my card with my markers, and then add a lighter marker to blend it out and fade it into the white area. So I went back and forth quite a while. I'm not an expert on adding grounding or shadowing or all those things, but this is a really simple version of a shadow, and so far I can manage. But it's also already a bit out of my comfort, we must admit that. But I just thought that it would add something. You don't need to. Again, personally, I find clean and simple white perfect as well. Here I'm checking with the card base where I need to place the panel to die cut. Now, as you saw me doing, I'm going to make a vertical card, and this is die cut as horizontal, but I don't need it all. I just wanted to have that border to help me. And then I took the Itty Bitty Holiday stamp set from My Favorite Things, which is filled with sentiments that are all perfect for the holidays. And then I took my favorite pattern paper, which is the Petite Gingham paper pad from My Favorite Things. Every color is in there. It's adorable, it's cute, it works always. Definitely with a clean and simple card, because most of the time when I'm making clean and simple cards, it's more of a white card. And since the Petite Gingham also has a white area or a white part of the pattern, I think it works. So I trimmed down 2 pieces that would be just wide enough to come from underneath the Sweet Feline panel that I created. I trimmed off the excess and then I could adhere my white panel. Now, I decided to first, of course, stamp out the sentiment. It's always smart to stamp out the sentiment before adhering anything, because otherwise it might be difficult to have that perfect impression of the sentiment. So I did that, really simple. And then I could trim down this panel a little bit. You can easily trim down the excess that you have overhanging your card base, but the side where you have your fold, it's tricky because you can also trim your card base down, and that's not what you want. So to avoid that, I decided to just first trim things down, and if it was still overhanging, I could still fix that by trimming it down later on. So now I decided to sort of fiddle a bit with sizes to make sure that I could add that panel straight on there and sort of also centered. It's not an exact science in my opinion, although you can definitely make it exact, but I just don't have the patience for that. So I tried to figure it out, and once I was happy with how I was going to place it, I added my adhesive, which is in this case some foam tape, and I added it completely all over the back of this panel. Once I removed all the backings, I tried to adhere it straight, and I think it sort of worked. And then I thought about adding some details to this card, which is an option, but I need to disappoint if you were looking for that, because I just like a clean and simple card, and I think with the pattern paper there are enough details, and this way the simplicity of this card is truly guaranteed. And personally, I find that simple cards really feature the image that you are using or want to feature as well. So I decided to keep it like this, just added a bit of glossy accents on some tiny parts, and then this card is completely finished. I think there is some beauty in simplicity, so that's why I went for, and I think that this digital stamp is truly shining. So again, I want to repeat that today is release day of some incredible new digital stamps by Rachelle Anne Miller, so definitely check it out, you will love them all. And I hope to be back soon. Have an incredible day, and I see you soon. Bye!